genuine student. Hope you all are well and fine. So stay home and stay safe and follow SNS. SNS S for soap, sanitizer, M mask and S social distancing. Now, today we are going to study a new chapter of supplementary. The title of the chapter is Ranga's Marriage. As from the title, you guessed, here in the story, we talk about the marriage. Yes, exactly. In this story, we talk about the Ranga's marriage. Now, this is a story, the basic theme of this story is a conflict between the traditional and modern thought. And the story wind up with the acceptance of the traditional thought, that is arranged marriage. Here, in this story, the narrator goes to Ranga's marriage, about Ranga's marriage, and he execute his plan with the help of Sastriji. Now, let's move to the text. So, it's a chapter. The title of the chapter is Ranga's Marriage. As I explained before, this chapter revolves around the marriage, and it is the marriage, Ranga's marriage. Ranga is a son of accountant of the village. So let's read in the content, in the text, ki what is the story and how the story revolves around the Ranga's marriage. Now the writer is Masti Venkats Iyengar. Let's read about something about the author. Masti Venkats Iyengar was a well-known writer in Kannada language. He is a Kannada author. His main mother tongue is Kannada. He was the fourth among Kannada writer to be honored with the Gyanpeeth Award. And he was the fourth writer, he was the fourth author of the country, author of our country, who awarded with the highest literary honor award. This Gyanpeeth Award is the highest literary award of our country, which Iyengar sir has honored with this award, as he wrote many of the stories, novels, and he got popularity and he got prized. Now let's move to the characters of the story. First one is Ramarao, Ranga. Ranga is your protagonist. Ratna is also a major character of this story. Sastri and Sham. Ranga is that boy about which we are going to read the story, about whose marriage the story is revolving around. The plot, the theme of the story is revolving around Ranga. And Ratna is that girl to whom Ranga is going to marry. And Sastri is an astrologer who predicts future. And Shama is your narrator, who really wants and who are very intense towards the marriage, towards the relation between Ranga and Ratna. Actually, he is very intent to get marry Ranga with Ratna. And Ramarao is Ratna's uncle, and Ratna is niece of Ramarao. So just move towards the story now. So this chapter is all about life in villages. Actually, in this chapter, the theme of the marriage is very important in the chapter, because in the previous time, in our some years ago, the child marriage or the low age marriages are very privileged in the society. So it was very common practice in the society to get married children. and so that the marriage concept, the theme is very important in the story, as how that girl and boy get married, and what is the why the author or the narrator is very much interested in the marriage of Ranga, and how beautifully he narrated the story. It is an interesting story of how a person manipulate means just to change the mindset of any person, ki just we see in the story ki how your narrator manipulates the Ranga, who is not ready to get married, who is not ready to marry with the girl that is very low age girl, who is very childish girl, but who wants to get married with the mature one. But your narrator manipulates Ranga, and ultimately he made ready Ranga to marry with Ratna. Person manipulates to get young boy married to an 11-year-old girl. It revolves around a boy, namely Ranga. So I told you earlier कि in this story, the theme of the story, it revolves around the protagonist. Protagonist is the main character of this story, and this Ranga is the main character of this story. He is a accountant's son, means his father is accountant in the village, who returns back from Bangalore after 6 months, having completed his higher studies. Ranga, who came to the village, who returned to the village after completing his studies from Bangalore. So the villagers are very much expecting to Ranga. They are very curious to know about Ranga. He came from the city, he came after completing his education, so he is very special for the villages. Let's see what kind of expectations or what they are expecting from Ranga. A huge crowd of people gathers around his home to see whether there is any changes occurred in him or not, and to see how fluently he speaks in English. So when Ranga returned back to his village, uh, people, they crowded around his house to see Ranga, to see the physical appearance of Ranga, to see Ranga's gesture, to see Ranga's behavior, his outlook, his way of talking, how he behaved to the people. All these things they crowded over there to see. They want to observe what kind of changes he have after returning from the city, as the boy spent 6 months in the city, this village boy. So like other, as the villagers are expecting ki after completing his education, after completing his study from city, might be Ranga change in his behavior. So they came to see, they came to observe what kind of changes occurred in Ranga's personality. And they also want to know how much fluent he is in English, how much how he was what his knowledge. He returned back to complete his studies, so what about his knowledge, and how much he was influenced in his study, as the village which Ranga belongs, that village is a tourist place. So in that village, visitors came from the foreign countries, and they spoke in English, so that villagers are very influenced towards the English speaking, towards the spoken language of English. So they knew, so this time they want to know that one boy of their village went out to the for studies, for higher studies, for getting more knowledge. So they are expecting कि maybe this Ranga came here in a totally changed form, and may he also speak English as fluent as those visitors, as those foreigners. Now, people of the remote village Hosahali even start touching him to show that he is not changed. When the narrator meets him, he asks about his view of marriage. And the Hosahali is the village, is very remote village, we can say ki the village is very backward village, it's less developed village. So those people of that village, they are coming, even they just convince himself their selves by touching him, कि yes, there is his skin, his color, his body, his flesh, there is no change. Even they are touching his nose, hand, fingers. Okay, his nose, his fingers, his hands are in the same way as we have. मतलब कोई change नहीं हुआ है. He is in the same personality, he is in the same physique as he went. So as they are expecting ki might be the behavior, the physical appearance maybe change after coming from the city, but that will not happen. Now the narrator meets him. Finally your narrator meets to Ranga, and as he meet to Ranga, he just want to know about his view of marriage, कि what he is thinking, as he has completed his education, he has completed his study. So at that time it's very common thing, it's very common practice कि that if a boy has completed his study, then it means that boy move for the marriage. It doesn't it was not a custom कि after completion of the studies that boy or the community or that members, they are not very much serious about the career. Me study completion means then goes to the marriage, just like your ashram life. As you studied in the history, there are four ashrams. First is mm, Janev Sanskar, that ashram, and then brahmacharya ashram, which are the study of the school, and then grihast, and after vanprasth, that is the spiritual life. So that kind of ki after completion of the study, that boy have to move for the marriage. And he's very much interested in Ranga's marriage, because when he meet Ranga has a he behave very well. He just bent down very properly to touch his feet for the blessing, and he closed their hands together to show the proper gesture of proper posture of the namaskar. So he was very, the narrator was very much influenced to the behavior of Ranga, कि after getting study from the city, after getting knowledge, after getting education this much, there is no change in his behavior. And even those boys who are living in the village, they are very badly behaving with the old people. So by seeing the honest and delicate and decent behavior of Ranga, he was much influenced. So he wanted that Ranga should be married with a right girl. To his surprise, Ranga has different view about marriage. According to him, one should get married to a girl who is mature enough to understand the things, and couple should look good together. So when he inquire about the view about marriage to Ranga, then Ranga replied to him, but in a different way. It's out of expectation. Ranga said that कि I want to marry with a girl, that girl is mature enough to understand anything. And one thing more, two conditions I have. First, I want to marry with that girl who is mature enough to understand the things. And second, the couples, the marriage couples look good together. It doesn't mean ki one person is very elder person and the second one is very younger one. So that kind of couple he don't want. He didn't want. So he just share his views about marriage. Now, the narrator revolves that he will try his level best to get Ranga married. And after knowing his view about marriage, that time he resist. He decided, no, anyhow I'll try my best at any level. I want to get Ranga married. That's it. For that, he purposely introduces Ratna. Ratna Rao's niece, an 11-year-old girl who is well versed in singing and playing musical instruments. So, by this thought, by this thinking, as in the mind of the narrator, this thought, the marriage of Ranga is revolving day and night. So, purposely, and the girl is also in his mind, ki, with whom he should get married. So purposely he just plan a meeting with Ratna, and Ratna is Ramaro's niece. Ramaro's is one person of the village, and Ratna is only 11-year-old girl who is very good in music and singing and in playing musical instrument. That time girls are generally well educated and well practiced in such practices like music, musical instrument. So Ratna is also good in that. When Ranga sees her, he falls in love and starts inquiring about the girl. The narrator Shyama deliberately says that she is married to make Ranga realize and feel the importance of marriage and to change his view about marriage. So, as you know, ki this meeting was purposefully. The narrator knew everything, and by the meeting, by showing Ratna in front Ranga, he just want to inquire the inner feeling of Ranga after seeing Ratna, ki what the reaction, how he react. So, when Ranga see at first sight, he falls in love with Ratna and then narrated and by falling in love with her, so he start inquiring about her, her name, and who is she, what she is doing, any everything is he starts inquiring to narrator. So narrator deliberately says, with planning, with purpose, he says to Ranga that, oh, you are asking, you are inquiring to that girl Ratna. She is already married, guy. She is already married. And he said that sentence that false only to know the intense desire of Ranga. Actually, what he is thinking intentionally, what he is thinking in inner. So he wants to know that desperate importance of, and he also want to realize him as before Ranga given a philosophy ki no, I want only to marriage with the mature girl, the girl who understand the thing, and the couple should look together. So this time he also want to realize him the importance of marriage, the importance of right couple, the importance of beauty. Having known that Ratna is married, Ranga feels depressed and does not talk to other for few days. So as he falls in love to her at first sight, he was very much depressed by knowing that she was already married, and he is just putting himself in a closed door, and he is not involved any activity. Now, then the narrator takes him to Sastriji. Sastriji is the astrologer who is already foretold everything by the narrator about the girl Ranga loves and the things which Sastriji has to tell Ranga in order to impress him and to win his confidence. This is also a planning, this is also pre-plan ki that Sastri ji knew everything. A narrator has told to Sastri ji ki I just come with Ranga to you, and I told you everything to I told you the lines, the same lines you just quote in front of Ranga when he came to you, so that you will impress Ranga that ha, you have a good knowledge of prophecy, you have a good knowledge of astrology. And now same thing happened. Sastri ji, Pandit ji, the astrologer, told the same lines, and first by seeing Ranga, he told him, Ranga, you are in love with a girl. So Ranga was very much impressed. Oh, this Pandit ji, this Sastri knew very well ki I'm in love. So he was very much impressed to that astrologer. In that way, he start believing in the astrologer. So class, I hope you well understood the explanation, the chapter, the story, characters also. And thank you for today class. Revise it and we will continue in our next class. Thank you.